Hi there, my name is Jerzy Drozd. I'm a cartoonist and teaching artist, and for the next half hour or so, we're going to explore some techniques of making characters. What is a cartoonist and a teaching artist? A cartoonist is a person who writes with images, and a teaching artist is somebody who teaches people how to do that. That's what I've been doing for many years now. I make all sorts of comics. One comic that you can find of mine, it's called Boulder and Fleet, Adventures for Hire, which you can find at books.jdrozd.com. There's going to be links at the end of this presentation where you can follow up for things that I do. Boulder and Fleet is the story of two animal best friends who want to make it in the world as famous adventurers. Only problem is the little bird, Fleet, is a very ambitious bird. She wants to become famous by conquering enemies and defeating foes. She's paired with this big, strong, powerful bear who would rather make friends than defeat foes. And so the two of them constantly explore this tension, this dynamic, as they go through a world full of mineral gals and fire skeletons and all sorts of dangerous monsters, and always questing to try to make a little bit of money so that Fleet can get some more cake. Another book that you can find in stores everywhere that I co-authored with my wife is Science Comics Rockets, Defying Gravity, which is part of the Science Comics series from First Second Books. And it is the history and science of rockets as explained by the animals who participated in rocket history. So you can think of it as a comics documentary about the history and science of rockets. And yes, bears, tortoises, dogs, and even ducks were involved in the development of humans' understanding of flight, which led to rocket flight. One of the stories in the book that my wife Ann and I, when we were writing the book, we got very excited about was we found about this Italian fireworks creator named Claude Ruggieri, who wanted to advertise how powerful his rockets were by launching, and this is in the 1800s, by the way, he wanted to launch a child into the sky in his rocket to show how strong his rockets were, and the police told him, of course, no, you can't do that. So he said, well, I'll put some rats in there instead. And they thought, if a rocket flies over the world and dumps a bunch of rats onto people's heads, that might be a bad look. So he actually affixed little parachutes onto the rats, and so when the rocket went up, the rats came gently floating down to advertise by Claude Ruggieri rockets. There's a lot of stories like that in Science Comics Rockets, and you'll also learn a lot about the laws of physics, how rockets work, how we came to understand how rockets work. So what we're going to do, now that I've been properly introduced, what we're going to do is we're going to actually create a character out of nothing, and I'm going to need your participation to do this. Now, this is going to ask for you to actually say some things to the screen. Might be a good idea to ask mom or dad's permission if it's okay for you to yell into a screen, because I'm going to harvest all of your collective imaginations and focus them into my drawing pen and put it onto my computer screen to create something from your brain. So I'm handing over my drawing hand to your brains. Now, there's a trick to doing it. I'm going to ask you for prompts. I'm going to ask you for a couple of interesting animals, and I'm going to ask for an occupation for these animals to do. I'm going to fuse these animals together. But we all have to stop shouting the prompt at the exact same time. What do I mean? So when I say, give me an awesome animal, I'm going to hold my pen up in the air like this. And as I lower my hand, you focus on my pen with all of your imagination. Visualize that animal as best you can. And keep focusing on my pen, and when my pen drops out of the screen, we all stop at exactly the same time. And if we don't all stop at the exact same time, it won't work. The spell is broken. You can try to sneak your way in after the pen is gone and go like, alligator, thinking that, haha, well, he heard mine because, I snuck it in after everybody was done shouting. It won't work. It'll just fly right over my head. You all have to stop at exactly the same time. We have to cooperate in this imaginative spell casting, okay? So, with that said, I'm going to hold up my hand. I'm going to ask you for an awesome animal. Give me an awesome animal. Not bad, not bad. And what I heard was shark, so I'm going to put that on my list. I'm writing down shark. Okay, now I need you one more time. Give me an awesome animal. Well done. Okay, what I heard there was squid, shark squid. We're doing an aquatic theme today, huh? Now we need a job for this shark squid to do. So when I'm raising my hand, I'm going to ask for an awesome occupation. Focus in your mind what that occupation is. The occupation is the job. What does this character do most of the time? What is their calling? What is their vocation? There's a vocab moment. Vocation is this thing it's a job that you feel like you're really well suited for and you really feel passionate about it. Okay, so ready? Give me an occupation. little sloppy on the ending there, but I got it. What I heard was bus driver. So I got shark squid, bus driver. Now let's switch over to my drawing application. And let's put these ideas together real quick, shall we? Oh, I guess, should it be a good guy or a bad guy? Should it be a hero or a villain, bus driver, shark squid? Do you think villain? I think villain too. Let's explore what that looks like. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start putting these ideas together right now. So what I like to do when I'm drawing characters is I like to do, you might have done this in school, you do like first draft sloppy copy. And I like to work in blue when I do that. So I'm going to start by, I need an ink color here. There we go. Mean shark squid, bus driver. And I'm going to start really loose and sloppy. I like to think of this as throwing down all the wrong lines to find the right lines. Just like when you do sloppy copy in school, you do like lots of versions. You get all the ideas out there first, and then you refine them. You fix them. You add more ideas. You change ideas. The idea here when I'm sketching is to not be precious about it, right? So, and we're looking in the like sort of a cutaway of the bus. And we should have the bus driver saying something. What do you think the bus driver should be saying? Especially a mean squid. So it's going to be like a shark with a lot of tentacles, right? And now what I'll do is I'll like lighten up the pencils just a little bit, and I'll go in with my inks. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And now I've drawn all the wrong lines, so now I'm going to highlight and capture the right lines. And it seems like it might seem like you're adding more steps. By adding more steps to the drawing, you might be slowing yourself down. But in truth, what happens is you wind up getting faster because it's easier to correct mistakes early on, so that when I'm throwing down the right lines, I figured them out because I've drawn all the wrong lines first. And as you saw, I didn't spend a whole lot of time on that initial sketch. And by giving myself that space to find all those wrong lines quickly, I don't have to spend as much time hunting for the right lines, if that makes sense. It's one of the advantages to doing this kind of sketching. Okay, almost done. And I'm going to probably want to throw a little color on this guy, too. Oh, did I get that right? Yeah, there's an arm, and there's the other arm. And let's draw the chair that he's sitting in. Darken all those. All right, it's a little bit more. And then there's the door to the bus. Oh, let's do this. Oh, and we're going to have the bus driver say something. So let me erase this so I can make some space here. And I think I heard some of you say he should be saying, like, sit down. And I always draw the words first, and then I draw the balloon. Because if I draw the balloon first, I might not have enough room for all the words I want to put it there. Okay, does that look right to you? Does that look like he's a nasty bus driver, shark, squid? One more thing, I'm just going to color him just a little bit. Just throwing on a little bit of color. Just so we can explore what that means when we use color in comics. Okay, let's get like a nice dark blue, and I'm going to get a big old pen. And just quickly, and I'm not going to be too uptight about how I do this. I'm just going to very quickly drop in some color on the bus driver. Yeah, I know, I'm going outside the lines a little bit. That's okay. This is for the purposes of demonstration. When you create your character after this, you're going to do a much tidier job because you're going to do a loose sketch first, and then you're going to get all those wrong lines on the paper, and then go in with your pen afterwards and draw all the right lines, and then you can gently erase all those wrong lines, and no one will ever know that they were there. And then you can be very careful about how you color it. I mean, that's the funny thing about when you see like art created by professionals. You don't see all the mistakes they made, right? They're invisible to you because they erased them. We all make mistakes all the time. I draw stuff that I don't like all the time. All right, there we go. Look at that. Nice red eye. And we could even, if we wanted to, we could even color his word balloon. Yeah. It's nice green. What do you think that voice sounds like? Can you make that voice? What that sounds like? Sit down. something like that, right? We cartoonists do this all the time, by the way. We actually talk out our dialogue out loud so we can understand how to draw it. And I'll explain what that means in a second. So there we go. We had nothing. We had a blank sheet of paper. And now we have a character that we can make guesses about and start to build stories around. Just by focusing our imaginations into our pens. Okay, so how did we do it? So as it turns out, I mean, that looked like it was pretty easy for me, right? And that's just because, like, I practiced a lot for a long time. I've been drawing every day since I was 7 years old. Like, when you get on a bike, you don't say, like, oh, where do my feet go? What happens now? You just, like, it feels natural to you because you practiced it. And the same thing with art. You just do it a lot, and it starts to become more and more natural to you. But for those of you who maybe don't do a whole lot of art, or maybe if it seems like it's harder than it should be, here's a simple way of thinking about it. I like to think of cartooning, comics, character design as really being made of 4 pieces, 4 tools, okay, or like 4 molecules. Like, if you know what a molecule is like this little tiny piece of something that when you combine it with other molecules, it makes stuff. Water's made of molecules, air's made of molecules, notebooks are made of molecules, right? And it's just a basic recombining of these elementary particles that makes different things. It's the same thing with cartooning, but here's the 4 molecules as I see them of cartooning. So the 4 tools of cartooning. Oh, that's a big pen. Let's go back to my little pen. Okay, so 4 tools of cartooning. And if you know how to use these 4 tools thoughtfully, it doesn't matter how well you draw. You'll still be able to create images that make people feel things. And that's kind of what a cartoonist's job is. It's like, it can be about representing the world, but it's also about, like, giving people feelings. So how do you do that? So the first tool is shape. I'm going to draw 2 shapes now. And there's no right or wrong answer, but you got to, think about what you're thinking. You got to be able to explain what you're thinking, why you say what you say. So I'm going to draw 2 shapes. I'm going to ask you, which one feels like the kind shape, the friendly shape, the approachable shape, right? And some of you are saying circle. Why? Well, because it's smooth, right? Smooth shapes. Well, why would smooth shapes be friendlier? That's weird, right? Why would you say weird things? Explain yourself. Well, when I was your age and I was learning my mathematics, I remember thinking 3 looks like a nice number and 7 looks like a mean number. Was I weird? No, I think I was noticing something that comes from our daily existence as creatures in the world, right? You take a 7, and I'm going to erase my 3 here real quick, just get it out of the way. Take a 7, draw another 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, right? 7, 7, and we got a shark. There's his other fin. Nature is filled with dangerous and dynamic things that are pointy, right? This is why, like yield signs are triangles, because this catches our attention and makes us say, watch out, right? Notice I didn't say evil. I said pointy. Circles make us think of non-threatening shapes, things with non-threatening things with smooth shapes like babies. And if I draw this chubby little toddler crawling toward us, none of us are going to say, oh, it's dangerous and dynamic. Some of us might, but most of us will say, no, it's just a chubby little baby waddling toward us. But now, behold the terror of Triangle Baby. And we say, oh no, what is that thing? Make it go away. Mom, Dad, there's a Triangle Baby in the house. Somebody stop it right now, right? Now, we know there's a fancy word that you might have learned in school called an adjective, right? What's an adjective? An adjective is a word that describes a noun. Noun, baby. Noun, baby. I change the shape of that baby, and it changes how you feel about that baby. So shapes make us feel things. Different shapes that you use in your characters will tell the audience, will give the audience information as to guess what they need to know about that character, right? And this is in a very popular movie. Everybody remembers this guy. Yes, it's Baymax. And remember in the movie, if you haven't seen it, a little bit of spoiler here, but not too big of a spoiler, when Hero tries to turn Baymax into a superhero, what does he do? He puts this pointy armor on him, and Baymax even says, in the script, he says this in the movie, he says, this armor conflicts with my lovable, huggable design. Yeah, because before he had the armor on, everything about him was designed to be lovable, huggable, approachable, smooth shapes, right? Squares make us think of... tend to make us think of trustworthy, stable things. Buildings are made of squares, right? So like often you'll see like Superman drawn with a very square chin, right? And then smooth shapes overall. But then Dangerous Dynamic, Batman, right? All pointy. Still a good guy. He's not evil. He's just pointy because he's dangerous and dynamic, right? Different shapes make us feel different things. Okay, so much then for the first tool. Second tool is size. I'm going to draw an angry guy. Draw an angry guy. And I ask you, weird question, but let's think about it for a second. Which one feels angrier, right? Most of us are going to say the big one. Why? Well, big equals loud. Big equals emphasis. And again, think like a cartoonist. A cartoonist makes associations by looking around at the world. What do you do with your body when you tell a secret, right? You get small. You don't want anybody to see. I'm going to pass you a note. See, meet you at the playground at 3 o'clock. What do you do with your body when you want to get your friend's attention across a park, right? You get big. You know, you move your body, your mouth gets bigger, you get louder. Big equals loud, big equals emphasis. What's this got to do with comics and cartooning? Well, if you want a character to seem extra big and imposing, and extra powerful, you'll make them look larger, right? And actually, in comics, you might notice that they have panels. Each box is a panel of a story. And if I want to do a story where Calvin and Hobbes are eating peanut butter sandwiches together, please forgive my poor Calvin and Hobbes drawings, and I want to have a moment where the world explodes, I'm probably going to use this panel here because it's bigger and it's going to have more of an emphasis. Right? This is why panels are different sizes. It's because different size equals different emphasis. And notice this has nothing to do with drawing well. Nothing I've drawn so far has been drawn that well, right? This is all about just thinking about different design tools. So shape and size. The third one, this is my favorite one because this is a weird one, is line. Okay. We're going to talk about visual poetry in a second here. What? Visual poetry? How can that be? Well, it's a thing. There's no lines in real life, right? I hold my hand up, and you see the color of my hand and the color of whatever's behind it. There may be, like, the implicational lines can exist. Like, if you look up at the ceiling, there might be, like, lines between, like, where the ceiling meets the wall, or there might be stripes in the paint on your wall, or, like, on sidewalks, there's, like, little cracks between, like, the different pieces of sidewalk, but there's not actually black lines defining all the shapes. In other words, in a comic, everything is made into lines. Therefore, nothing is real. Therefore, everything is equally real, and those lines carry emotional, communicative potential. I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to draw two lines, A and B. I'm going to ask you, which one feels like the calm line? Which one feels like the relaxed line, right? And yeah, most of us are going to say A because it's smooth, it's straight. B is like, may think of like choppy water, right? Like waves rolling. Or might think of like smooth paved road. Here's somebody riding along on their bike, and oh no, I hit the bumpy part of the road where they were doing all that construction, and I wasn't wearing a helmet. Why? Why did I do that, right? What's this got to do with comics, making these associations? Well, let's draw that angry guy again. And I'm not going to draw him the same size this time. So we're not playing with size, we're playing with line. Right? How does it change the way the anger feels? Like, he was angry. He was furious because he's shaking. And he's not shaking. Somebody who's very literal would say he's not shaking, it's not moving because it's just a drawing, it's a single drawing, but it gives us the feeling of it being shaking. This is where it's like, I think of it as visual poetry in the sense that if I were to say to you, oh, you are a rose, oh, you are a swan, and if you say back to me, well, make up your mind, am I a rose or a swan? What am I? You're not getting the point of it. That's not the point of the poetry. Poetry isn't literal. And so like lines can be non-literal, right? So lines can carry communicative potential. Let's put the first three tools together real quick before we move on to the fourth tool. If I say, I'm going to write a line of dialogue 3 times. Okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take advantage of the fact that I'm drawing on a computer and just copy it. And my keyboard. Normally I would have to write this 3 times on a dry erase board, but I won't at this time. So there we go. And there we go. Okay, now let's read these as a group. How does it sound just based on what we see? It's the same line of dialogue. We go, what? No eggs? The second one, what? No eggs? And the third one, what? No eggs. you read them all pretty much the same, right? Because why wouldn't you? It's the same line of dialogue. Now, what I'm about to show you, you're not going to be able to unsee. You're going to start noticing this in like cereal packaging design, billboards, television, cartoons, even toy packaging. All I'm going to do is change the shape and the line and watch what happens. So, first one, second one, third one. Right? Look at that. In other words, I mean, if you read these aloud, right? How's the first one sound? Like somebody normally talking. What? No eggs? Second one. What? No eggs? Third one. I heard some of you doing like a what? No eggs, right? Like a zombie or a ghost, or maybe like icy, right? Because it's like got dripping icicles coming off of it. In other words, I changed the shape and the line, and you hear different voices in your head. If that's not magic, I don't know what is, right? And again, this has nothing to do with drawing well. This is just using shape and line thoughtfully to communicate feeling to an audience. Isn't that amazing? I mean, it's amazing to me still that works that way. Okay, the last tool is color. So we have shape, size, line, and color. Now, this one's going to be a little bit tricky. This is by no means an academic chart that we can use for every circumstance, but it's sort of a quick little framework. It's a thinking exercise to think about how color makes us feel things. Shape makes us feel things, line makes us feel things, size makes us feel things, and color makes us feel things. Who here remembers a movie called Inside Out? A movie about a girl with feelings in her head, right? And the feelings were all different colors, right? So what color was Joy? Joy was, Joy, I'll put her here. She was yellow. Mostly. I know she had like a green dress and blue hair, but like her main body was yellow. What about sadness? Yes, she was blue. And anger was red. And who else am I missing? Disgust, yes, thank you. Disgust was green. And lastly, we had fear, who was purple. Now, those Pixar designers really know what they're thinking or what they're talking about and what they're doing. I mean, these are very like brilliant and well-practiced and skillful designers who create these characters. So they did all this for a reason. And if we think about it, color does make us feel things. When we think of red, we think of anger because maybe we feel hot when we're angry. Maybe we get a little flushed when we get angry, right? But we also feel a little hot and flushed when we discover that our secret crush knows that we have a secret crush on them. What feeling am I talking about? Right? Not embarrassment about the discovery, although that's part of it, but the source of the embarrassment is that you have feelings of affection or love. Red is the color of anger, red is the color of love. Very opposite feelings, right? Every February 14th, Valentine's Day, our schools are covered with pink and red. Valentines are always pink and red, right? And an interesting thing about this is that red is considered a warm color, and these emotions have a target. They're outward. They point out, right? I'm angry with you. I love you, right? They have something that they point toward. Blue, we think of sadness because we think of like rainy days, overcast skies, right? But we also, what if I say like big open ocean, right? Blue is the color of calm. Let's see if I can get my pen working again. There we go. And calm and sadness are pulled in feelings, right? No, I don't need to go to that party tonight. I'm feeling kind of mellow. I just want to hang out. No, I'm really bummed out. I don't want to come over and talk about anything. I just want to be by myself for a little while and just, think about my big feelings that I'm having, right? So cool colors pulled in, warm colors pushed out. Okay, let's talk about green. Green, we think of like snot, vomit, rotting things, putrefaction, right? Broccoli for some people, right? That's why disgust was green. But what else? What do you think about? What other things are green? Trees, grass, nature, life. Look at that. Green is the color of rotting things, gross things, but it's also the color of new things, of growth and rebirth. Very opposite things. Okay, now we get to two interesting cultural ones that are kind of weird, and it took me a while to puzzle these ones out. Yellow, we think of joy, yes, because we think of like bright sunny days. The sun has yellow light coming out of it. But there's a cultural term from about 100 years ago that doesn't get used as much anymore, but most of us can remember at least it being used in movies at some point or another. Like in a Wild West story, if two characters are facing each other off and one of the characters says, draw, or are you nothing but a yellow-bellied sidewinder? What does that mean? Right? Some of us remember this tends to mean cowardice. To be yellow-bellied is to be a coward. So yellow is the color of cowardice. I'm not sure why that color gets associated with that, but you see it used in character design a lot. Like yellow will be used for very joyful characters, but it'll also be used if you want to describe somebody who's not very trustworthy or cowardly. Cowardice is different than fear. Everybody feels fear. How you react to fear determines whether you're brave or a coward, right? So then we get to fear in purple. Now, this one confused me for a while, but then I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? Anybody here watch Voltron Legendary Defender? But it doesn't have to be just that, but it's a good example because like the Galra, these mysterious and dangerous characters who start out as villains in the story, they're all purple. Skin is purple, the computers are purple, the lights that come out of their screens are all purple all the time. And then I thought about, well, yeah, who else wears purple? Wizards wear purple, right? So purple is like the color of mystery. And mystery is what causes fear, right? We get fearful when we don't know what's going to happen. We get fearful when the lights are out and we can't see, right? So mystery. So I'd say, like, if we took fear and just crossed it out and just called this mystery, right? And then I was trying to think, what would be the opposite of that? Well, think about history. In medieval times, who wore a lot of purple, right? Yeah, royalty, nobility, because purple was a very hard color to manufacture. So it gets associated with nobility. So you see purple getting used for like royalty, loyalty, fealty, nobility, right? So in other words, you recombine these colors in different ways, and you can tell people, you can make people guess how they might interact with these characters. You could probably think of a dozen cartoon characters and the colors that are on them and how the designers put those colors on to make people feel how they feel. Now, shape, size, line, color. Let's go back and look at this character we made together. How do we know that this is a nasty bus driver, right? Look at the lines we use. We use pointy shapes. The line of the word balloon is all bumpy to indicate that it's like a scary voice. I use like a sickly green, like a snot green for the balloon. Red eyes to indicate anger, right? So, yeah, it's just a shape, size, line, and color. Now what I'm going to do is let's close this off to finish. Let's explore the opposite. Let's make a kind, friendly, nice shark, squid, bus driver. I'm going to need a new layer to do that. And once again, just like before, I'm going to go ahead and start by doing sloppy copy. But now what am I going to use? Right? Yeah, I'm going to use smooth shapes. And you could do a fin on a shark and still, suggest the fin, but make it smooth, right? There's a shark fin using smooth shapes, and it feels very different, doesn't it? It feels absolutely different just based on the different shapes that you use. And you can still imply like how a shark has like a narrow nose compared to the rest of its body and still have it look friendlier. Okay, there's my sloppy copy. And how about I have him say, sit down. But let's put some musical notes around it, and let's make it a poofy balloon. Look at that. Look how that changes everything. Turn the opacity down. I'm going to go in, and all the wrong lines are drawn in, so now let's find the right lines. Make that eye a little bit bigger. Doesn't that look cheerful? Still have shark teeth, but we can round them off a little bit. Remember, this is cartooning. It's not literal. It's visual poetry. And whoop. See all those wrong lines that are in there? All those lines I didn't draw? The value of sketching. And whoop. Let's get those squid arms. Now, what kind of colors do you think I'm going to use for this shark? And remember, we don't have to use the exact colors of a real shark, because that first one that I did, I used like a very purpley blue. Come on, zoom out. There we go. And there's the steering wheel. And let's do, how about we make this, I find that this works a lot if we write in lowercase, whoops, sit down. It tends to feel friendlier than all caps. The other changes how we feel about the character? Okay, let's throw in some color real quick and wrap this one up. Oops. too, and you over there. My windows got all goofed up. All right, let's go back to my layer. Just trying to make one more layer. That's all I was trying to do, computer. Okay, and let's pick a... How about... I'll get a blue color, but I'm going to make it like a bright, cheerful blue. And let's get that big pen back to do the coloring. And I'm not doing a perfect job of it because, again, this is just for demonstration purposes. When you do your version, you'll do a nice, tidy job of this. And sharks are kind of a grayish blue color, depending on the shark. I know not all sharks are the same color. But, and again, I'm not being literal here. I'm making a character. And the important thing is not whether or not, at least to me, the important thing is not whether or not it's super realistic. It matters that, does it make people feel things? I'm just giving a nice bright yellow eye. And look at that. It feels very different than, I'll leave this up just for a sec. Oh, let's get the word balloon. What color should the word balloon be? How about a nice bright bubblegum pink? I know word balloons don't often have color in them, but they can. They can have color if you wanted to. Okay. So now, here's a kind, friendly shark bus driver squid. Let's hide those. Let's turn back on. Our nasty one. See the difference? It's all just shape, size, line, and color. Again, I didn't even draw the shark that anatomically correct, right? Because I'm just making things up here. So that'll be the thing that you do next is play with shape, size, line, and color. Think of a couple animals that you think are cool. Think of a thing for them to do that you think would be interesting to write about, and start using shape, size, line, and color to play with ideas. And you don't have to use the first idea, right? So now we have a choice. By making both versions, a nice one and a nasty one, I have a choice as to which character I want to use. So, thanks for watching and playing along. You can reach me. I'm gonna post at the end of the video that you'll see links to where you can find me, and there'll be ways to contact me on those sites. And I want to thank Alex Simmons and all the people at Kids Comic Con for inviting me to participate in this thing. It's been a lot of fun sharing my enthusiasm for comics and comics characters with you. If you want to send me some of the characters that you make today, I would love to see them. And you can reach me. It's just my email at gmail.com. Or my email. It's my name at gmail.com. JerzyDrozd@gmail.com. And you'll see how to spell it in just a moment. So thank you once again, everybody, for being here. And until next time, I've been Jerzy Drozd. And okay, bye.